I use cedar 2x6s all the way around my raised garden bed, and in each corner I have a 4x4 that goes a little bit longer into the ground, and I use stainless steel screws that connect from the face of the board into the side of the 4x4. One thing I did not do is I did not treat the wood, I did not do anything to it, and I can see the tops of the 4x4s did start to crack and dry out. These two look fine, but if I come over to my 4x4 over here, you can see that the top is completely rotted out, and the stainless screws are still in good shape. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all this apart and we're gonna move it somewhere else. It looks like I can save most of this wood, so we'll check it when we tear it apart. But across the top, I have my tomato trellis, and it has a little brace and it goes straight across, and right down underneath is where the garden is. And it has these little holes right here, and you take a string and you put it through the string. Then I use a tomato clip and I clip it to the tomatoes, and then the tomato will grow all the way up. And usually it got to the top up here, and this is maybe 7 feet tall over here. So when I get it all together at the new spot, we'll put it together and I'll show you what I use to connect my tomatoes to the string to grow all the way to the top. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tear all this out, and we're gonna check all the cedar, see how well it lasted over 4 years, and see if stainless screws is worth the extra money. So let's start by taking off the tomato trellis. They're about 2.5 inches, and it looks like they are in almost perfect shape. So I would say, at least after one screw, that it was worth the extra money to buy stainless steel, because I'm gonna try to save all of these and then I can use them again, either on this project or another project. One thing I do remember is that the heads of the screws, the stainless steel is a little bit softer, so that if you don't have the right size drill bit, it would kind of strip them. So let's take this apart and then let's go on to the next set. I used 4 screws to hold this tomato trellis up, and the ones in the middle are Kreg screws, and they're pocket hole joints, and you have to use this special screw bit to get them out. And these ones might be stripped because I put them in harder, so let's see if I can get them out. There we go. So these are a special type of screw that you can go at an angle. So those were stripped in there, so we'll pull it out and just force it out. Hopefully I can reuse these. Oh man, they're really in there. The Kreg screws are also stainless steel, but they're definitely softer metal. You can even see they're bending in there. So we're just gonna have to force it out. That's harder than I thought it would be. Well, look at that. There we go. They definitely were stripped, as you can see. They don't work any here. The Kreg screws are not as nice, that's for sure. Well, we tore out the bed, and let's come over here and get a close look and see how well cedar held up after 4 years as a garden bed. It's definitely wet around the edge. It doesn't seem maybe a little bit soft. I think it held up better than any of the treated wood I used, but for half the price, we'll have to really get into here and see. I mean, that's a little bit soft right there. This is the 4x4 that's completely destroyed, so I'll take that off. But as you can see, it's all rotten in there. These 2x6s around the edge look like they've lasted pretty well. You know, there's a lot of water and mud or dirt that's always touching these. So they would probably rot out pretty quick. You know, they don't get a real good chance to dry out. But I would say you can't poke through it. So there is a little bit coming off. So is the cedar wood worth it? There's also different ways you want to look at it. Some people don't want the treated wood touching your soil that you're planting plants in, but I don't know exactly how all that works. Some people say it's fine, some people say it's not. Just depends who you want to ask. But it looks like it held up pretty well. The tops of these boards over here aren't bad. I'm going to throw these 4s away. And on the back side, they seem to be pretty solid still. So let's take this apart and save this wood. What I learned is I'm gonna have to put some sort of treatment on the end grain because the water got in the end grain and it definitely just rotted away. But I think these boards are still gonna be good. So these are all the stainless steel screws that I used to build my garden 4 years ago. And as you can see, they are all in perfect shape. I can reuse every single one of these. They definitely cost more money when I bought them, but they look like they're brand new. So I'm gonna use these again. I don't know if on this project or another project, but they will go back into a box. So I basically got 4 years out of these and I can use them again. Here I have my garden bed that I'm gonna move my tomatoes to this year. Last year I had potatoes in here and I had corn in here, but I'm gonna put my tomato trellis here. So it's gonna go up both sides and across the top, and then I'll have the strings that come down and the tomatoes can grow up right in the middle. That is my plan now. So I need to get my tomato trellis that I had over there, and we're gonna bring it over here. Here's my top corner of the trellis. This is the top, this is the piece that goes down. I just have a little brace on the bottom and then stainless steel screws that go in right here and then go in right here. This top grain right here, it's still open, but I'm not gonna worry about that. So this was a 2x6 that I took the table saw and I ripped right down the middle to get two, I don't know, 1.5 inch pieces probably. And then I could use them both to put across my garden. Here's the little holes in the top that the strings will tie into. So here's the bottom of it, and here's where the pocket screws were that were stripped and I couldn't get them out. And then here's where I would brace it. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the saw and just cut off the bottom. So it won't be as tall, but that's okay. I have a window there now. And then I'll start over here and then probably use pocket holes again and screw it into the bottom. So let's go get that done. It's never. So they're not the same size. Never easy. So that garden I had over there was a little bit shorter and these ones a little bit longer. You know what? I'll just screw it to the inside and it'll be on the inside. This is only for a temporary for a year. Yeah, I can do that and then I'll brace it in. Easy fix. Sometimes it's not that easy. All right, so we're gonna go about in the middle and we're gonna put one screw in first and then we can level it. I've got my level here. And because all my screws were good, I can reuse them all. So let's put that in there. Let's make sure it's level. We'll put another one in right there. And now, hold it level. There we go, and I'm still gonna brace it to make sure it stays. Move my level up a little bit. So I at least have one brace that I'm going to put in. My screws might be a little long from this side. There you go. And then, buried my screws. I'm gonna go from the side this time. So, just like that. Get it where I want it level. It's wood, so it's gonna move anyways. There we go. I'm just gonna do one brace because I think it's pretty sturdy. So we're at about 6 feet tall right here, going over my tomato bed that I'll have right here this year. Hopefully the HOA doesn't care that you can see it from the road. I don't know. So it comes up right here, have it braced across the top, pretty sturdy. Now let's come talk about what these holes are for. So the first thing I need to do is go get some string. So the first thing I need is some string. Kind of interesting, I was gonna stop and pick some up on my way home last summer. And then I looked online from Amazon and they would have it delivered to me by the end of the day for a penny cheaper. So I just ordered it online, had it delivered, worked out great. If it's still, I'll put the link in the description. You just take your string, put it through the hole like this. So you take your string, you put it through the hole right here, and then it'll hang down to where the tomatoes are. There we go. And actually I have a loop right here. It wasn't really planned, but I'll just tie it to that loop because I was doing some other stuff. There we go. And I have my string that will go down to my tomatoes. And then I connect your plastic clip like this. I'll have to order some more this year. I'll put a link below. They do kind of dry out after a year, so they don't last super long, but you get a good season out of it. And you put the string right in there like that. Then you clip it shut and it'll hold right there on the string. And it will let the tomato plant grow through there. And the clip stays in one spot. It doesn't slide up and down, so it works really well. And you'll just put them all up and down your string as the tomato's growing. So you wouldn't put it on early like I am right now. Yeah, see, that one broke. But there, they work just like that. And there's my string from the hole all the way to where my tomato would be at the bottom, and then the tomato can grow up it. So right here I have my new tomato spots. I'll have to clean the dirt out, get all that grass that has grown over the winter, pull that out and get it ready. I did throw a little bit of fertilizer in there already just so there'd be something in the dirt, but it's in slow release, so it's not gonna do much yet. And there we go.